The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson.
Welcome back in. Hey, episode number 7. Who knew? Yeah, we've actually made it this far. They haven't canceled us yet. You never know. We might actually have a future here. We got a few things we want to get to here. We're going to deal with some movies a little bit later on. Yeah, we're actually going to talk movies on a racing show. Yeah, there is a connection. Trust us. Talk a little Formula One for those of you that said, hey, a local show is actually going to talk some Formula One. We're your people. We're going to bring it back. It's been a few weeks since we had the chance to talk about it.
That's right.
We also are going to talk a little bit about what's going on at a little track you might have heard of, I don't know, about 40 minutes or so east of our location right now.
Approximately.
Yeah, that's the location of NASCAR this week. It's called Talladega. But last weekend, they were out in Texas. And Xfinity Series, we talked about how good Atlanta was with the Cup Series. They did a 3-wide photo finish. Mm-hmm. We're about to show you a photo here of the finish from the Xfinity Series at Talladega, and it's going to look pretty similar to what you saw at Atlanta from the Cup Series, except it ain't going to be 3-wide. It's 2-wide. These guys, and I feel for them. I mean, Sam Mayer, congratulations to him. But Ryan Sieg, 39 car, that car right there. I feel for him because this is a guy, family-owned and operated team, running it for, I don't know, how many years now they've been running RSS racing?
At least 10.
I was about to say, better part of a decade at least. And they're starting to get close. Ryan Sieg, 342 Xfinity Series starts, no wins, that close. That margin right there, .002. That's tied with, really about the best finish you're ever going to get, amongst the closest finishes ever in NASCAR.
You can't get much closer.
No.
Really
and we
can't.
Haven't seen .001 that I know of yet.
No, we have
So
not.
There you go.
That finish right there tied the finish between Dale Earnhardt and Terry Labonte at Talladega, I think, in 1993, if I'm not mistaken.
That's an impressive finish right there. And Texas has been one of those tracks that we've been we've been very critical of.
Mm-hmm. I have been.
And we're not the only ones that have been critical of it. There are a whole lot of people that have been critical of racing at Texas, and Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, which owns and operates Texas Motor Speedway, really more Fort Worth than Dallas. They've done a lot of things to try and change it and try and make the racing a little bit better. Now it's one of the more oddball tracks. It's in the intermediate 1.5 mile tracks, but it's not that cookie cutter track where they're all 20 to 24 degrees in the banking and you've got the tri-oval area and all that kind of stuff. It's not that. They've changed the banking to where turns 1 and 2 are banked at 20 degrees and turns 3 and 4 are up to 24. Mm-hmm. And they're doing everything they can to kind of play with it. They've used traction compound. They've eliminated traction compound. That racing right there, that's fantastic. And Sunday's racing and I was outside cutting trees.
Right.
So I have to admit, I wasn't watching it. You were, but I've heard a lot of compliments about Sunday's race in the Cup Series at Texas as well.
There was, to borrow a line from out of Days of Thunder, treacherous turn 2. This time it was treacherous turn 4.
Right.
Because there were 3 crashes where the leader in second place were running in very close proximity and racing each other hard, and then the outside car just snaps around and just loses it. It goes nowhere and just crashes.
But does this build up on something of the conversation that we were having about how short track racing seems to be having problems here lately, and with especially this Gen 7 car that we're talking about in the Cup Series, how the intermediate tracks and the super speedways, the Talladegas, Daytonas, and the Atlantas, most specifically, seem to have come alive.
Right.
I get it. This is Xfinity that we're talking about here, but I mean, this could be kind of the same thing. I mean, when you start talking about realizing a lot of these teams here are taking a lot of the technology that they know from the Cup Series and it's transferring down.
Right.
I mean, RSS Racing has an affiliation. They don't have a Cup team, but they got an affiliation.
Stewart-Haas, yeah.
So is some of that information trickling down from Cup Series to Xfinity, and we're starting to see that transition over there as well?
That's a tough one because the cars are so much different.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of Stewart-Haas is filtering their information down from the top bottom because they're the flagship Ford team in Xfinity. They're the only Ford A team in Xfinity.
Well, that's true.
Everybody else is just partners with him. But looking at it and thinking about this, that win is not judged from this line right here.
That's true. But it didn't change.
It didn't change it. And see, this will be a good learning tool for Molly right
There
here.
you go.
The start-finish line is actually not the real start-finish line. If you look where behind the word Texas, where the first word Texas is, you see that black line right there. That is the actual start-finish line. There's a metal strip in the track that trips the transponder and sends a signal to the computer to score. Talladega's, I think, is what, 3 feet, 2 or 3 feet behind the actual painted line?
I think it's, just a
2 or
little
3
bit
feet.
behind.
It's a little bit behind. That's not the actual start-finish line.
We'll have to get a picture for you next week. Yeah, we'll have to get a picture for you next week of that as well.
I think I've got one. I got one on my phone from, I think, Nashville.
Okay.
And I can show what I'm talking about.
It's kind of strange, because, again, a lot of this is transponders and where the transponder is in the car.
On the right rear corner.
Yep. So it's the way that things look. But, yeah, that did not change as far as the timing situation is concerned because it's that far.
Probably that far.
So
literally that far.
But, yeah, congratulations to them. Put on a fantastic show on Saturday. And we're looking forward to some pretty good shows at Talladega this coming weekend as well, because when we get to Talladega, obviously we get to some very, very interesting partnerships and some, sometimes some unlikely dance partners, because you're going to need help at a Talladega.
Oh, there's no doubt.
You can't be by yourself at Talladega. If you're by yourself at Talladega, you're going to get swallowed up sooner rather than later.
They try to push the manufacturer alliance, work with your manufacturer. That garbage goes out the window in 15 laps.
Sure.
You find the car that works best with yours, go.
Yeah. And really about the only time that it does work is when, all the Chevys come down and they're doing like green flag pit stops, and then all the Toyotas will do it, and then all the Fords will do it. And they'll all figure out how to get that done in some way for the most part. But inevitably, I'll take the Fords, for example. You'll see the Ford crew come down. Inevitably, there's going to be like a Chevrolet and or a Toyota in there.
Typically, there's 1 or 2.
It's kind of strange. But, all of the strategy and everything that they talk about, it's kind of like getting into a fist fight. You can have all the strategy you want going into the fist fight, but as soon as somebody throws that first punch, strategy's out the window.
Yep.
It's a brawl now. Mm-hmm. And that's what Talladega is, and that's what makes it fun. And we've got, 3 races this weekend, ARCA Xfinity on Saturday and Cup Series on Sunday.
Correct.
Mother Nature might come in and play a little bit as well. We'll see. Sunday, 60% chance, scattered showers. We'll find out. Monday,
light showers.
Yeah. Monday looks really, really good. So if we have to push back to Monday, we can. But hopefully we're going to be able to get everything in on.
I would say for a couple of years, it's been a pretty good streak.
It really has.
Really good streak.
It really has. So we'll keep an eye on that. Secondly, television contracts. Television contracts within NASCAR recently got re-upped, but totally changed out. The only thing that remains the same from this year to next is when the Craftsman Truck Series, which Fox Sports 1 has the rights to it, they might put a race, maybe 2, onto the main Fox network. But otherwise, all the races for the Truck Series are going to be on Fox Sports 1. That'll carry over to next year. Next year, the Xfinity Series, which has been split, like the Cup Series, between Fox at the beginning of the year and NBC at the second half of the year, is going to go all the way to CW. Every single race is going to be on the CW network next year. And this is the latest move by the CW network to really make themselves legitimate. This worked in the past if you go back to when the Fox network was this fledgling little network that really all they had to their name was this little animated show that you might have heard of called The Simpsons. Then they turn around and they got the Football League, the National Football League. All of a sudden, Fox becomes a legitimate network. That's what CW is doing right now. CW is going through the process of getting sporting events and sporting leagues, and the latest one is the Xfinity Series. So next year, they are the home of the Xfinity Series. All the races are going to be there.
Or is it next year?
We'll get back to that. The other thing that you want to see is the fact that when it comes to the Cup Series, it's going to be split not 2 ways between Fox and NBC, but 4 ways. Fox is going to run the first, 15 races of the year.
Yes.
Then it'll go to Amazon Prime. Then it'll go to Turner Sports. 5 races each, Amazon Prime and Turner Sports. And then the last 15 races, give or take, of the year go to NBC. First half of the year, practices, qualifying, whatever, is going to be on Amazon. Second half of the year, when NBC's got the televising rights, all those practices, qualifying sessions, they're all going to be on Turner Sports. Wow. Confused yet? Let's throw in this little bit right here where, NBC cut a deal with the CW network, and they're going to run the Xfinity Series earlier. They're going to get a jump start on it. We don't even know who yet the CW is going to have full-time
next year
as their Xfinity Series broadcast crew.
But
who's going to be the race caller, who's going to be the analysts, the race analysts, and things like that.
But these last 8 races could be a very, very, very big clue.
Could very well be, because they're going to bring over all of the NBC people to do all of this. NBC Sports is going to be in charge of the production of this. NBC Sports probably will have the graphics there for. So this might give us a pretty good idea of what the CW is going to look like next year,
right,
when we get to see this entire presentation and it's all on them. Mm-hmm. And NBC is bringing over their broadcast crew as well for the final 8 races. This means that the entirety of the playoffs, the CW network gets.
Which I don't think is a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, no, but I do wonder, what was the impetus for this?
That's a really good question.
Because NBC paid a pretty good penny to re-up. And I get it. They lost the Xfinity Series. I understand that. But they paid a pretty good penny to have this particular rights deal with NASCAR that ends at the end of this year. Again, the new television contract begins next year.
Yep.
They're losing the entirety of the playoffs. And we're talking about some pretty big races, not the least of which is the return to Talladega. They're losing a lot. And it's kind of surprising to see that they gave up on the playoffs to let the CW get that head start. And they're all saying all the nice things. Hey, we're going to help out our sister network get a head start next year so that they're ready to go.
Right.
But there's something behind the scenes here.
It's something, but one thing that I really liked, they went in and automatically the final 8 playoff races adjusted the times on them.
Oh, sure.
Changed every one of them. I loved it.
I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. I think that that's perfect because it does make it a little bit more TV friendly. It makes it a little more viewer friendly. Let me put it that way.
They moved up. I know for a fact they moved up Talladega 1 hour.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah, because me and this guy both know fall races, Talladega, late evening starts. It's not an often occasion. Let's call it that.
But it's happened.
That the race doesn't complete the distance because of darkness.
Yeah. And for those who say you need lights at Talladega, we've tried to disprove that on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
Because that schedule has been just a little bit too late in the afternoon/evening.
There's been 1, 2, 3, 4. I know of at least 5 where we've seen the checkered flag fall and it's dark. It's dark.
Yeah, you couldn't see anything.
You can look on television and go, oh, they can see out there. No, I don't think so.
No. The thing about TV cameras, they're set up in a way to make sure that they take the most advantage of the light that's given around them.
Right.
No, you need to be there.
Yeah.
See exactly how dark it is. It's kind of deceptive just watching it on television. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to seeing what their graphics are going to look like and give us basically the idea of what they're going to do. Because again, CW Network, they're doing their level best to try and make it a go here. There was some talk there for a while that the CW Network might go bye-bye in the broadcast world. No, they're in the game to stay.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, one of those dark setting races was where a really, really popular phrase was that came about a few years ago was born in the dark at Talladega.
Yeah.
I'm not going to repeat that phrase on here.
We can't.
You probably...
Well, technically being a podcast, we could because it's not like we're putting it on Jocks FM, but...
yeah, it was where a phrase was born.
In case you got the family in the car with you or, somewhere in the room, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
It was a good time. We're looking forward to it. And something else I'm looking forward to is next year, as we turn our attention back over to the fine folks who run all around the world in Formula One. Normally, Formula One puts out their schedule for the next year sometime in July, maybe August. And August is when they take a break for about a month. It's a European thing. I don't know. It's crazy Europeans.
Yeah.
But anyway, they take a break for about a month over there in Formula One. And usually it's about that time that we start hearing word of, yeah, we're about finalized, or hey, we're finalized. We're going to give you the preliminary schedule for next year. They put it out in April. They put it out just last week.
Yeah.
They were quick this year.
They were.
But I'll give them credit for this because they started something mainly with this year's schedule that makes so much sense, especially when you're traveling all around the world. When you're traveling all around the world and you're jumping from continent to continent on a constant basis, it really does make it a lot more difficult. So this year they did basically kind of pod scheduling, if you will, which is taking all the races in a specific general, at least, geographic area, and you run all those races all at once before you go on to the next general geographic area. So this year they started off in the Middle East, then they went over to Australia, and now they've gone up and they've run at Japan. They're going to run at China this weekend. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to get ready and we're going to head over to Europe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay. So congratulations on somebody at Formula One buying a globe.
Yep.
Maps are a good thing.
We've
been critical of NASCAR from time to time when it comes to that, especially with everything that's kind of gone on with them running at the LA Coliseum and just so badly wanting a race in Southern California. I get it. It's a huge television market. LA, San Diego, all of that area, huge when it comes to television. I get it. But when you're going to California and then you come to Daytona, California to Florida, and then a couple of races later, you're going all the way back out west to run Phoenix and Las Vegas, and for a while there, Auto Club Speedway. That may or may not return. We're hoping it does. And then you start working your way back east to run your Bristols and your Martinsvilles and your Atlantas. Is anybody paying any attention to the travel vouchers here and how much money it's costing to run those 18-wheeler rigs from Charlotte to L.A., L.A., back to Charlotte, down to Daytona, back to Charlotte, back out to L.A.? I mean, okay. Somebody at Formula One finally got it right. Now, the other thing that's been pretty highly critical is the fact that they moved Australia off of the season opening race back in 2019. Guess what's back? Australia's back as the season opener. And it makes so much sense, too, because they are starting in mid-March?
March 14th.
So mid-March, Ides of March. Ooh, beware of that. So they're going to start in mid-March. It's going to be winter here in North America.
Yep.
But they're in the southern hemisphere. That means it's summertime right down there. That's the perfect place to start the season. It really is. It makes the most sense.
I agree.
So they're going to go from there, and then they're going to go from there to Japan?
That would be China.
China first, then Japan.
Australia.
It's going to be a little chilly in China and Japan, but I think we can make it.
First two events in March are Australia and China. Then in April, in 3 consecutive weeks, you go Japan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
You take
and again, that's taking basically the first 5 races of this year, moving them to the same 5 races next year, but we're just going to jumble up the order
and make it in logistical sense.
Again, yeah, it does make sense. Middle East is equator-ish, so that would make a whole lot of sense as well. So yeah, I like where they're going so far.
You take a week off and then you come to Miami. You take 2 weeks off, then you go to Italy to Imola.
Okay.
The week after you go to Monaco. Week after that,
that would put them right around Memorial Day weekend, which might give us that troika that we have always enjoyed, where we get Monaco Grand Prix in the morning, Indy 500 middle of the day, Coca-Cola 600 at the end.
Yep, and then you got Barcelona, Spain on May 30th and June 1st. May 30th through June 1st. You take 2 weeks off and you come back to Canada on June 15th.
Here's the problem. Here comes the problem that we're going to have with this schedule, folks.
Turn right around 2 weeks later and go back to Europe, to Austria, to the Red Bull Ring.
Let me go back to this whole thing about having a map.
Yeah.
So you're going to go from the Middle East all the way to Miami. Then you're going to play around in Europe for what, 6, 7 races?
After Miami, you go 1, 2, 3 races in Europe.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you had more than that in there.
Yep.
And then you're going to come to Canada.
Yep.
Back to North America.
Yep.
And then you go back to Europe.
Europe for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Azerbaijan's Asia, ain't it?
Yeah, it's right on the edge, though. It's edge of Europe and Asia.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in Europe. Here's the kicker to this. You've got August next year falls as a 5-week month.
Okay.
You run Budapest, Hungary on August 1st through the 3rd. And then you go to Zandvoort, my favorite track.
Yes.
On August 31st.
Okay.
So
you're still got the better part of the month off.
You got the better part of the month off.
Yep.
And then after Azerbaijan, you go to Singapore.
So we're back to Asia.
Then you cross the Pacific Ocean. And you come to North America in the order of Austin, Texas, Dakota, Mexico City, Brazil, Las Vegas.
Everything makes sense, really, except for the fact that you're going to throw Miami in there without going ahead and going to Canada.
Right.
Now, I don't know the last time anybody looked at a map, but it's not like Miami and Canada are next-door neighbors.
Nope.
Now, yes, Canada and the United States are, but it's a pretty far drive from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in the Montreal city area to get to Miami. Why aren't we doing Miami and Canada back to back? Now, when do they go into Miami? What's the date on that?
May 2nd through 4th.
It's already May.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the weather. Weather's certainly nice and toasty in Miami, and by that point in time, spring has fully sprung in Canada too. We don't have to worry about snow. Why are we spending the amount of money that we need to spend to go all around Australia, the Far East, the Middle East, then we play around in Europe after we spend 1 week in Miami, then we spend a few weeks in Europe, and then come back to North America, and then go back to Europe for 7 races?
Well,
I again ask this question. How much attention are we paying to the travel vouchers?
Not enough. But to give you an exact number there, Steve.
Okay.
From Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal down to the parking lot of Hard Rock Stadium.
Where they're building the track. Yes, they actually built one in the parking lot, Molly.
Is 23 hours and 53 minutes.
That's a full day.
Straight up 95 to New York and hit 87 and straight shot to Montreal.
Yeah, if you want to stab yourself in the eyeball trying to drive that.
Yeah, especially.
I've been on 95. Oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think I'll pass on that one.
No. Yeesh. Yeah. So, but again, so Formula One's got the schedule out. This is a preliminary schedule. It has, the FIA has already signed off on it. Now it's got to go to this group of people called the World Motorsport Council. which is the governing body over the governing body, which is the FIA. So they have to approve it. I don't think they'll have a problem with it. It's not really all that vastly different from this year's.
Nope.
So
Not much.
I would expect that would be approved and we will be ready to go. And yep, when they come back to the United States, they're going to have 3 races here. It'll lead off with Miami. They're going to be back at Circuit of the Americas near Austin, Texas. And then after kind of running around all over the place, Mexico City and Brazil, then they're going to come back and run Las Vegas. And that's going to be late November.
Yeah.
The week, I think we worked this out, the week after Thanksgiving 2025, they'll be racing in Las Vegas.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be fun.
Road trip.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be great.
So their season is going to begin middle of March. It's going to run through early December. Mm-hmm. Long season for Formula One. They're going to get their 24 races in. They've been trying to do this for a number of years. Looks like this year they're going to get it. Next year they're going to get it as well.
Oh, but 24 is too much for some folks.
Hey, you
Get
guys are
over it.
flying around on private jets. I think you're doing okay.
Yeah, I think you're going to be good, but if nobody wants to run 24, I'll gladly get in one of the cars.
Sure. And the other side of it is, here's the thing. We've been paying attention to this. We haven't really seen a whole lot of turnover when it comes to the driver lineup, the 20 cars that are running right now in Formula One.
Right.
Get Andretti Autosport in there. Not a whole lot of turnover there.
Nope.
Which means there's a whole lot of people that are in their feeder series of Formula 2, Formula 3, and so on that are trying to move up, but they can't because there's a logjam at the top. And other than your most ardent fans, drivers, I got news for you. If you don't want to run 24 races and you decide to quit, only your most ardent fans are going to miss you. Most everyone else is going to go, okay, next.
Correctamundo.
They ain't going to miss you.
Nope.
Sorry. I don't care what your ego tells you. They're basically going to look at you and go, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Mm-hmm. See ya. All right. Now, on this one, we're going to bring Miss Molly in. We like to do this every once in a while. And this has nothing to do with the education of Molly. At some point in time, though, we're going to have one of those episodes. Trust me, we're going to do it. But in this particular case, we've had a lot of fun, and I actually enjoyed being a part of one of those films. Now, everything that I did practically ended up on the cutting room floor, but I spent 3 days out at Talladega Superspeedway way back, 20 years ago now, really, for all intents and purposes, because it was filmed, I think, in 2005 and came out in 2006.
It was.
Talking about Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby. Mm-hmm. That may be one of the more, I'll say, notorious NASCAR-based films that's out there. There are a few. Some are good, some not so good. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, if you want to know my part as far as what I did in Talladega Nights, the one that made it onto the film, you got to watch the very end of the film, and as they're all getting ready to leave the track, and they go walking across, and Ricky Bobby comes across his dad, who's leaned back on the Chevelle, waiting for them to come by. There's a bunch of vehicles going by in the background. One has a pickup truck, and this pickup truck has 2 people in the bed of it. One's waving a checkered flag, the other's waving an American flag. I'm the guy waving the American flag. Look carefully, look quickly, because it lasts for about a second.
That's so cool, though.
Yeah.
I love that. I grew up on that movie.
Okay.
You got to look hard, too. We're in a new Netflix series as well.
Oh, that's true.
That is true.
But that's not a movie.
True, close enough in my book.
You mentioned Days of Thunder earlier. You've seen Days of Thunder, I presume.
I have not.
You have not seen
I'm
Days
not
of Thunder. Wow, really?
Listen, I'm not a big movie girl.
Okay.
Like we even have a segment on our radio show where every week I have to watch a new movie.
All right.
Because I haven't seen a lot of movies. And it's kind of become a joke between like me and my co-host.
All right. I need to make the nomination right now. The Days of Thunder needs to be, especially now that we're dealing with Talladega, that Days of Thunder needs to be on that list.
I'll add it to the list.
Okay.
There's a ton of movies that people are a little disappointed in me when they find out that I've never seen. You've never seen that movie? There's a lot of those.
It seems it seems very, very surprising that you may not have seen Days of Thunder just because of, this was Tom Cruise building on the popularity of Top Gun, and most people call it Top Gun, Top Gun Goes NASCAR, whatever you want to call it. And I get that. And a lot of people are probably right about that because basically it's all the same creative team that did that. So yeah, I understand that. But yeah, it's a little bit surprising. One that I really liked, you go way, way back, and this is before Richard Pryor was really starting to become that edgy comedian that he was at one time. But you think about when he portrayed Wendell Scott, Grease Lightning. Yep. Fantastic movie. If you get the chance to go back and check that out. Last American Hero, loosely based upon the life of Junior Johnson with Jeff Bridges in there. And you get something like Stroker Ace. Funny, doesn't really take NASCAR racing all that seriously. So, yeah, again, we got the good, we got the bad. And then we found out about this upcoming movie from a tweet that you found out.
Oh, boy.
Where do we begin?
We've got problems with cars. We've got problems with engines. We have problems with tire compounds.
Yeah.
We have problems with the drivers begging to make these changes because they're the ones that sit in the seat and they know what to do and what they want. But NASCAR, we're worried about making a romantic comedy, whatever the heck this is.
No.
What are we doing?
Yeah, I don't. There's a lot of talk about the potential of maybe since he finally did Top Gun Maverick, that Tom Cruise might be interested in going back and revisiting the character of Cole Trickle and redoing or doing a sequel to Days of Thunder. I don't know whether he ever will or not, and even if he doesn't, fine.
I got the details of it right here.
But my question is this. Why are we going and taking this deal that states NASCAR is working with MGM Studios on a new romantic comedy about a, quote, ambitious sports agent who loses her superstar client before the start of NASCAR season and decides to take a chance on a rebellious female dirt track racer?
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Now, if you want to be serious about that particular plot, okay, fine. Let's go find this young up-and-coming driver. I don't care, male, female, black, white, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
By all means, knock yourself out. Find the young and up-and-coming driver, and you take the chance on it. Sports movies are rife with this.
Sure.
I'm sure that even Molly, with her somewhat limited experience, could come up with all kinds of movies that talk about the young up-and-coming player in whatever sport that gets the opportunity of a lifetime and makes the most of it.
Right.
Why are we making this a romantic comedy?
And the picture that's behind you, a former driver and a former car owner, look at his response. Just look at his response. The emoji of getting sick.
Uh-huh.
That's what that makes me. I mean, my message to the sanctioning body and the officials, if you will make the car better, listen to your competitors, listen to your teams, and fix something. Put it all together and get the on-track product better. Oh, it's the greatest it's ever been. No, it's not. Look back in the mid-'90s to when there was 180,000 shoulder-to-shoulder at Talladega every single race.
Yeah.
Fix the on-track product and stop worrying about content and getting to this new crowd here, new crowd there. Give me a break. If you will get out of the offices, get off of social media and walk through your garage areas and look at everything, you will see that garage area and these racetracks are as diverse as they have ever been.
Absolutely.
No matter if you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, European, German,
male,
female, you live a certain lifestyle or not. I mean, it's as diverse as it's ever been.
Yeah.
But we're worried about putting out a movie? Give me a break.
Well, and we're worried about putting out a movie that's going to be formula. I can see it coming. This is going to be formulaic. I can tell you the plot of this movie right now. Okay? She's going to fall in love with somebody, and the story is going to go from her trying to figure out how to balance being in the relationship that she's in, but also being a new racer at the upper levels of NASCAR.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much unfortunately. Lately, with motorsports-themed movies, they have failed miserably.
They kind of have, yeah. The last one that really did well, that did everything well, congratulations to Ron Howard, watch the movie Rush.
Rush did well, but
everything really since then has been, well, lackluster at best.
I was so surprised of when they filmed the movie Trading Paints with John Travolta and Shania Twain here in Alabama and at Talladega Short Track. I was so surprised that movie fell flat of its face like it did.
Yeah, because it actually took things seriously.
It took things seriously. I was on the shoot. I was on standby to drive a car in the movie at a very, very late hour of the night, which is not very fun.
No.
They took components and made it real life, but it fell flat of its face.
Yeah.
Which surprised me.
It shouldn't have, unfortunately, but it did. But we're going on. NASCAR's worried about coming up with new ways of
appeasement,
exposing themselves to new audiences. Don't sign off on everything that you get. That's your trick. Don't sign off on anything and everything that comes your way. Unfortunately, you're going to end up with this. This is going to be a basic formulaic romantic comedy with all the basic sports cliches that are involved in it. We'll have the problem where, and if it's more about the agent than the driver, then the agent's going to have to figure out how to be able to balance the personal life with the professional life and how to make sure that they're nurturing their up-and-coming driver while not ignoring their significant other.
Yeah.
And then it'll all come together at the end, and we'll win a title or we'll win a race, whatever race it is that they want to win. Daytona 500, blah, blah, blah.
We'll sit in victory lane and sing Kumbaya.
Exactly. It'll be formula. It'll be the same old, same old. And NASCAR's going to get the short shrift out of it because it's not going to be that good of a movie. It's going to be a formulaic romantic comedy. Make a good movie. Don't sign off on everything that you get coming down the line. This right here, sorry, not finding this to be a great idea.
Bring me back Days of Thunder 2 and we'll talk.
Yeah.
Bring that back. Because
let's see if you can actually make that happen.
If they can bring back and do, and I've seen the trailer of it, do a Bad Boys 4.
Whew. Why?
Because Bad Boys is a money-making sequel. My opinion.
Yeah.
Money-making.
That's true. It is.
And I've seen they may be looking at doing a Top Gun 3.
I've heard that too.
Top Gun 2 was fantastic.
It was. You can make good sequels. You can make good movies about racing. We've seen them. But this one? I don't know.
Too many people worried about appeasement instead of making the on-track product better.
Yeah. Stay in your lane, NASCAR. This is outside your lane.
That's in the ditch. That's in the ditch.
All right. Real quick. This is episode 7. We've come to the conclusion of it. But first, I want to let you know, because of Talladega, we're not going to have our regular Saturday morning 2-hour show. That is going to be taken up by the fact that we're going to be working.
Yep.
Okay. But we're going to be working for you guys. We're going to have pictures that this guy right here is going to be taking. We're going to show you a lot of action shots and as many pictures as we can next week. Sorry, Molly. We're going to make it work. So we're going to show you a lot of pictures next week from our points of view and have a good time talking about Talladega in review. And, hey, who knows what's going to happen. But, yes, so we will effectively have a Crossed Flags episode next week. No Championship Racing Network, no CRN this weekend, no CRN the next weekend either. Want to know why? Because at Speed Weeks in Alabama, we go from Talladega and NASCAR to Barber Motorsports Park, hosting IndyCar and all of their support series coming to town. And guess who's going to be in the PA booth for that? So we'll have more pictures to show you then. So, yeah, the next couple of weeks, you're going to get us right here with Crossed Flags the next couple of weeks. But the next couple of weekends, CRN, taking it off. But we will be back in a couple more weeks on that. So join us again next week, next Wednesday. It's hard to believe we're saying that.
I'm telling you.
Join us again next weekend, next Wednesday. Yeah, see, I fell into it. Join us again next Wednesday for episode 8 of Crossed Flags. Hope you enjoyed episode 7. Make all your comments down below. Make sure you subscribe. And if you already have subscribed, tell all your friends, okay? And we'll talk to you next week.
See ya.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.